Hi, Mr. Co here again, and today's topic is adding fractions. Now I know it's a little bit of a review for you, a good amount of you, but it's okay to review this. So let's start off with what our goal is. Our goal is to add fractions. Simple. So a couple of things I want to make sure that you guys remember, and here are a couple of fraction tips. First one, make sure denominators are the same. Denominators is that bottom number of your fraction. You have your numerators and your denominators. Number two, change mixed numbers and whole numbers to improper fractions. It kind of makes things a little bit easier when you're going along, okay? And then finally, don't forget to simplify. And I don't mean to just simplify like 2/4 is equal to 1/2. Don't forget, sometimes when you have improper fractions, you also want to simplify that number back down into a mixed number as well. Alright, let's start off with the easy one. Here we're adding fractions, and here we're adding fractions that have the same denominators. So this, you've already followed the first part of that tip. Denominators are the same, then all you have to do is just add the tops. 1 plus 3 over 8, and that gives us 4/8, and then simplify to 1/2. Now if you're asking why I do not add the 8 and the 8 together, and that's because, well, if you have 1/8, you don't have 8 of something. You actually have one part of that 8. And here you have 3 parts of that 8. So technically, you're not adding 8 and 8 together because you only have part of that number. Okay? Alright. Now, what happens when you get to 2/9 plus 3/5? Well, because the denominators are not the same, we're going to go ahead and make them the same. And to make them the same, we need to go and choose a common denominator. So if I look at 9 and 5, and I can just kind of go down my multiples, 9, 18, 27, and so on, I can do it that way, or I can just go ahead and multiply these two together and just find that common denominator. If I take this times 5, take this times 9, 9 times 5 is going to give us 45. That gives us 45, and that is an easy way to find your common denominator. But remember, since you multiply down here, you have to keep things fair. Multiply the top. That gives me a 10/45. And now if you go and look at it, 10 over 45, if I were to take 5 and divide 5 from here, divide 5 from here, I'd get back to my original 2/9. So I didn't change the value, I've just changed how it looks. Okay, same here. I'm going to multiply this by 9. 3 times 9 is 27. And now I have my common denominator, which means I can just add straight across again. And again, it's over the same denominator. That'll give me 37, 45, and I can go and check to see if I can simplify. Alright, so what happens if you have a mixed number and you have a fraction? Well, first of all, if you recall the tips, you want to change this into a improper fraction. And how to do that is you're going to take the whole number, multiply the denominator, and then you're going to add the numerator. So if I take 1 times 3, I get 3 plus 1, I'm going to get 4. That becomes my numerator on the top, and then it's same denominator. Okay? So again, 1 times 3 plus 1 gives me that 4, and then I'm placing it over that same denominator. So here. Alright, so I've just rewritten it this way with an improper fraction. So now, if you look, I now have different denominators, and again, our main tip was that you had to have the same denominators. So again, 3 times 5, easiest way to get your common denominator, times this by 5, times this by 3, we now have 15 right here, plus 15 right here, and then that's going to give me 20, that's going to give me 12. We can now add them together, 20 plus 12, over 15, and again, same denominator. That gives me 32 over 15. Now, that is an improper fraction. And again, let's go back to what we talked about as our tips. You want to change this into a mixed number because you need to simplify. So here, all we have to do here is you just take, and I'll just do this, 15 divided by 32. And that's getting me twice. That's 30. I have 2 remainder. This becomes my whole number. This becomes my numerator. And that stays my same denominator. Okay, so my answer here is 2 and 2/15. Another way you can look at this is how many 15s will fit into 32? Well, that's your 2. What's your remainder? That's your remainder, and then that stays your same denominator. Alright, we have one more to go. Now again, this one is similar to the one that you see on top. We're going to change all of these into our improper fractions. So 2 times 4 plus the top, that's going to give us 8, that's 11 fourths. Plus 3 times 6 plus the top, you're going to have 18 plus 5, that's 23 over 6. And we're going to go ahead and choose a common denominator. Now, you could just take 4 times 6 and make that 24, but that wouldn't be your lowest one. You'd still have to do a lot of more simplifying at the end. So I'm going to choose 12 because I know that 4, 8, 12, that's my third multiple, and 6 would be my 6, 12, that's my second multiple. So which means, if I take 4 times 3, that's going to give me 12, which is what I want. If I take 6 times 2, that's also going to give me what I want, which is the common denominator. Okay? So, if I multiply this by 3, multiply this by 3, that's going to give me 33. This side right here, multiplied by 2, times this by 2, that's going to give me 46. Now that I have the common denominators, I can just go ahead and add straight across. 33 plus 46 over 12, that's going to give me 79 over 12. And just like we saw on this one, you can do long division for those who are better at the multiplying and dividing. I can figure out how many 12s will fit into 79. 12 into 79 is going to give me about 6 times, and that's 72. If I take 79 minus 72, I'm going to get 5 left over, and that's 5 over 12. And again, in all of these cases, you always want to check to make sure that you can simplify any further, and if not, that is going to be your answer on this.